Welcome to Sports Biz with LD. I'm your host, Larry Davis. Brought to you by Blue Chip Marketing and the Daily Blue. I got to tell you, last week's show, Peter Vesey and having our boy Todd Costello from PC Richards, it was great. I mean, people all over that show, loving Todd and liking Todd. I think about like Todd, loved Pete Vesey. I've not seen Pete in a long time, heard from Pete in a long time, and we appreciate Todd getting him on the show. Love to have him back on. His take on the NBA is like no other. You know, let's get right into it with Keith Olbermann of ESPN, MSNBC. He was with Fox. He started with ESPN, and him and Dan Patrick were the best combo doing SportsCenter every night. And Keith always had the smart-ass remarks, and they were funny until he went over the line and ESPN fired him. Then following his career, I don't remember in order, he went to MSNBC, had a show, they fired him. Went to Fox, they fired him. ESPN brings him back, gives him his own show, which I don't understand because there's so much talent out there for ESPN. And I happen to like Keith, but you know he's that loaded grenade, hand grenade. He's going to say something. And if I'm ESPN, what do you need it for? It's not even worth it. There's so many people out there that you can give a show to and give airtime to. But they continue to bring Keith back. And here they suspended him last week. And let's get into what they suspended him for. He's all over Penn State. Now, if he wants to be all over Penn State with Sandusky and Paterno, and now they want to bring back the statue, and well, that's one thing. But he's going after the students of today who had nothing to do with that anyhow. The students were looking to raising $13 million for cancer research. I mean, this is what they've done and they continue to do. And he goes off on them on Twitter, going against the students. Again, I don't get what he's going for. This is one of the lines that Keith Olbermann said on Twitter. I'd like to thank the students and alums of Penn State for proving my point about the mediocrity of their education and ethics. Like, where's that coming from? They're trying to raise money for cancer research. And he's killing them with this? Phil Munchnick, a friend of our show, let's read what Phil said in his column. And you know I love Phil. He says ESPN, the ES in ESPN stands for eventual suspension. There are so many people who have been suspended from ESPN. I mean, he's just great. But here's what he writes. Olbermann spends so much time in reflection of his reflection that is crafted, shoved down your throat, way of doing things, multiple TV networks' image as a thoroughly enlightened, liberal-minded man of all the people has become a comical con, as he's known here. There and everywhere, he has worked as a pain in the arse, we know what he means, who treats the peons, the regular people, in his workplace like soot. Again, he's writing in the paper, you know what he means, like shit. Fired from Fox, like I said. He reported rumors that Rupert Murdoch was planning on selling the Dodgers. Murdoch went crazy now. Murdoch owned Fox, owned the Dodgers, owns the New York Post. I mean, he owns a lot of stuff. Got him fired. Well, that one's a little bit because maybe Murdoch was just mad that he leaked something. But he got fired from there. He was doing enough stuff on there anyhow. I mean, you remember years ago, he was in Yankee Stadium with his mom, and one of Chuck Knobloch, at those times he was having trouble throwing the ball like Steve Sachs was from second base, and then I remember Mackie Sassa as a catcher for the Mets throwing the ball back to the pitcher. You know, Andy, our producer, writes, why didn't Chuck Knobloch's errant throw hit him, meaning Keith, at a Yankee game instead of his mom? That's a true story. It did hit his mom. He's saying it should have hit him. I mean, listen, Keith Olbermann was only suspended for a couple of days. He will be back on Monday. I mean, I don't know. I like the guy, but I think those comments are, I mean, where are you coming from? I mean, where do you come up saying that kind of stuff? And to the students who are just looking to raise money. And to students of today who had nothing to do with Sandusky, Paterno, and all that other stuff. I don't know, Keith. You're a very talented guy, but you just don't have a censor. And that's really the problem with a lot of people. You don't have a censor and don't realize you're on live TV. Live radio has a 6-7 second button. TV does not. You can't be saying stuff like this. It's just unacceptable. And, for ESPN to just give them a week suspension, again, they're part of the problem as well. They let these kind of guys continue to work there. So, they deserve whatever they're going to get. And, so the next time you don't know what he's going to say could be even worse. Let's move on to baseball. Let's move on to a topic that will continue to be in the papers and the headlines at Yankee camp and all over the country. Is A-Rod reporting to spring training. Of course, all the reporters want to ask him about is all the lying and deceit about his past PED use. He's lied multiple times to everyone who would ask him, whether it was friends, peers, other players, management, it doesn't matter. The lie kept continuing to lie. And one interesting thing is he sued so many people. The Yankees, Major League Baseball, the Players Association, and Dr. Ahmed, who is the Yankee physician. He sued him as well. And what I thought is funny is every player, when they come to spring training, has to take a physical. A-Rod had to go in and take the physical from this doctor. So how funny would that be, or not funny, or uncomfortable for which one? Well, I'm the doctor, I got to do the physical for A-Rod, and he sued me last year. I wonder what they were talking about. I'm sure A-Rod went in there and said, I apologize, I'm sorry, and he could say it 1,000 times, it doesn't really matter. No one's accepting your apology. There's only one way A-Rod can do anything, is that if he can hit for average, hit some home runs, knocking some RBIs, but there's not much space for Menio on this team. Chase Headley's at third base. Mark Teixeira's at first. The Yankees, the amount of left-handing pitching in baseball is so little compared to right-handing, and of course, how many bats is he going to get as a DH, A-Rod? He's not going to play much. And he hasn't played much in the last year and a half. 2, hip surgeries. And what can he really do? And he's 40. The Yankees are stuck, $61 million. No one wants to just come out and cut him. The Yankees don't want to do that. They don't want to cut him, and he's not going to take less than the $61 million. Doesn't belong on the roster. Doesn't belong in baseball. The guy's done. But the Yankees are stuck. And they got to accept the circus. Because like I said, every day, that's all they're going to ask about. Everybody wants to know what's going on with A-Rod. Does it help the Yankees? The Yankees always want to be in the news. And they've always said, bad club is still publicity, and, he's still in the news, so it's not terrible. So the Yankees will be in the news all the time. It's about A-Rod. Did he play? Did he not play? What did he do? Is he done? Is he better? Every single day. And the Yankee brass is not happy. They don't want to deal about it. They don't want to deal with him anymore. They don't want to answer the questions every day. Cashman, Girardi, and probably the teammates too. But the teammates will say the same thing. They love A-Rod. He's great. Bottom line, then, there's a lot to deal with. And the Yankees don't want to pay his performance bonuses. If he hits 6 more home runs, he ties the great Willie Mays, and he gets a bonus. I think it's a $6 million bonus he gets. The Yankees don't want to pay it. The Yankees don't have a choice. It's his contract. You're going to fight the Players Association? You're going to say, oh, you can't market it as well? It's too bad. Hank, the brother who's not there anymore, he doesn't make any decisions for the Yankees. Hank gave him the contract. I remember after the World Series. Didn't have to. He bid against himself. Deserve it. The Yankees deserve that contract, be stuck with that contract, and be stuck with A-Rod. Okay, Hank's one of their own. It's George's son. He made the deal, gave him the money. Nobody stopped him. You deal with it. You deserve A-Rod. That's the way it goes. They're trying to say there's a morality cause. That way he shouldn't get paid the home run money. What morality? Okay, he cheated. A lot of guys did. If he hits the home run, he gets it. There's no way, like I said, the Players Association is going to allow the Yankees not to pay him. He hits the bonus, he gets the money. That's the way it goes. That's the traveling circus with A-Rod. The lying, whatever it is, he answers the question, he's there, he's doing what he's supposed to do, signing every autograph, taking every photo. And it's amazing how many people are out there want his autograph, want his photo. So As long as that's still out there, what's the difference? It's always going to be that way. Doesn't really matter. That is Alex Rodriguez. That's what you got. Fall from grace. The guy could have been one of the greatest players of all time, but we don't know that because he was on the PEDs, on the roids. Who knows what talent was really there? And there could have been plenty of talent. Like you look at Bonds, who was great before he started taking it. So what did he do it for? Because he wanted all the more exposure, he wanted to hit home runs? Well, that tainted his legacy. Because these guys' legacy is basically not getting them into the Hall of Fame. Let's keep it with the Yankees. The Yankees failed to sign Yoan Moncada, the 19-year-old out of Cuba who was a free agent. He signed with the Red Sox for $31.5 million, and then you double that because they have to pay a luxury tax within Major League Baseball when you're over a certain amount of money with international players, Cuba being international. Yankees offered him $25 million, and Hal Steinbrenner in the paper the other day said, we gave him a fair offer. I agree with Hal. He felt $25 million was the number. I heard his number started at 15, and then he went up to 25 because he heard some rumblings about the Red Sox offering some big dollars, and I think he did the right thing. That was the number he's comfortable with. And same with the Yankees, would have been double because they're over the number in the international market. So it would have cost the Yankees, if they got him at $25 million, it would have cost him $50 million. Now listen, he's a very good player, they say. Hasn't played Major League Baseball, and they're also saying at 19 years old, it's going to take 2 years for him to make it to the big club. So you're going to sign him for $30 million like the Red Sox did, 4 years, $30 million, and 2 of those years is going to be in the minors. I don't get it. I never would have signed him. I don't even know what you're going after him for. To me, let him play out those 4 years, and whatever level he's at, if he proves to be such a great player, then you'll pay him. And you know what you're getting. You don't know what you're getting in this kid at 19. Again, like I said, if the first 2 years he's not even going to be in the major leagues, you know the first year because he's just not going to make it up there because he's got to learn baseball and be in the minors. Maybe, if he tears the cover off the ball, come up for September call-ups. Okay, so then the deal is only for 3 years. First year, you're not getting anything out of it. Guy's not making the big club. So I don't understand from feasibility why you would want this player who cannot step right in. I think the Yankees I wouldn't even went after him. But in defense of the Yankees, Hal definitely gave him an offer he felt good with. And if you lose, you lose. I agree with him thinking that. I don't think it's fair to say that Hal is just not spending money. Yankee payroll is $215 million just because they made all those stupid mistakes and all those plays that it cost them money were terrible. They made that mistake years ago, but this year he's got a lot of money in there. And I'll tell you, everyone's counting the Yankees out, and I felt that way too, but when I rethink it, there's no one in that division. Boston maybe because they spent a lot of money. Toronto's going nowhere. Baltimore went down. Tampa went down, losing Joe Madden. If the Yankees, again, injuries are part of the game, but if the Yankee players can stay healthy, they got a very good team. Got a very good starting rotation. They got a good ball club. It's shortstop and second base. They're not much. And I'll tell you, I'm not the Chase Headley fan. I mean, you get him from the Padres, and there's a little taste for you to see how well he is. For the Yankees in 58 games. Okay, 58 games. So it's a third of a season. He batted .255. He had 6 homers and 17 ribbies. So what's so unbelievable? And the Yankees re-signed for 4 years and $52 million. I totally couldn't understand that signing. For what? Well, what's so great about him? For that kind of money? I'm going to give him $5 million a year, $6 million a year, $7 million a year. You're giving him that kind of money? $13 million a year? For what? $256, 6 homers and 17 ribbies? So if he played the full season, what would those numbers come to? Maybe 15 homers and 50, 60 ribbies? I mean, who is this guy? Don't like that signing at all. So if you look at that Yankee infield at second, short, and third, you don't got much. Okay, Teixeira's good at first, and Teixeira had I think he had like 20 homers last year with bum wrist. I like Teixeira. He can always hit homers. If his wrist's better, he's a baller. If Beltran's feeling better, he's a baller. The Yankees are a good team. Don't forget Brett Gardner. They have a good team. If everyone can stay healthy, which is the key, with every sport, every team, every player, if they can stay healthy, the Yankees can win this division and surprise a lot of people who are saying the Yankees, like I said, won't be good. But when you look about it, like I said, if they're healthy, if CC could pitch, Tanaka could pitch, Nova comes back, they are a good team. On the back of the baseball card is where they're a good team. If they stay healthy, the Yankees can win this weak division when the AL East used to be the powerhouse division of all of baseball. Let's move on. Sad story, the Josh Hamilton situation. Josh Hamilton, suspended from baseball years ago, was considered one of the greatest prospects. Sits out for 2 years, comes back. I think it was Cincinnati who gave him a shot, played very well, went to Tampa, then went to Texas, signed a big deal, and played well, and stayed away from drugs and alcohol. Pretty much so. I think there was one hiccup a couple of years ago, but he got himself straightened out. And then I recall that they hired somebody to just hang out with him all day long, go with him everywhere he goes after the game to make sure he stays out of trouble, which if I'm giving him that kind of money, 10, 15, 20 million a year, I would do that as well. And also I had heard that they never gave him cash in his pocket. Have to do everything on a credit card. And listen, not that I'm the big drug guy, but I don't know many drug dealers who are taking credit cards. So that was the whole deal of having no cash in his pocket. And now comes the word, and then he goes to Los Angeles of Anaheim, the Angels, and signs a 5-year, $125 million deal 2 years ago, which it was backloaded. So the first couple of years were about $15 million each, and the last 2 years were $30 million each. Now the problem is he relapsed. And, supposedly he's just not alcohol and cocaine. He was doing LSD. He was doing some acid. He was doing some other stuff. So he relapsed, had a meet with the commissioner of baseball, Rob Manfredi, the other day. I would think they're going to come down with a suspension again and maybe suspend him 25 games. And he needs to get help and straighten out his life. But let's not kid ourselves. With that kind of money left on the table, him, his wife, and family are thinking, how can they keep that money? You're not giving up that kind of money with 3 years left on his deal. You're talking maybe $65, $70 million. Again, it's got to be personal how to take care of him, but if he's taking care of himself and not doing drugs or drinking, there's too much money on the table for him not to get straightened out for his family. Even though he's made tons, you're looking at ridiculous money. He might have probably made that money already in his career, 50, 60 million. He's leaving another 50, 60 million on the table? No. Again, they will do everything they can from a personal standpoint. There's too much money sitting around there that they're not going to do everything they can for that reason as well. I wish you well, Josh. Only met you once. Seemed like a great guy. I've seen some interviews with you. I know it's a demon. Unfortunately, I know people have that demon. It is minute to minute, hour to hour, day to day. It really is. And you know somebody, I hope you get well for your sake and your family. On another note, let's jump to the Olympics. How about this? Gambling is coming to the 2016 Olympics. Las Vegas is going to be able to take bets on who wins the Olympic Games. It's just amazing how we're going to gamble on anything we can, and now it's the Olympics. Boy, those circles are gambling circles. And, when you're dealing with international stuff, and, listen, as much as it is, you never know who's going to be on the take. I mean, I remember seeing a piece on Real Sports with Brian Gumbel. I love that show, on how guys were taking money in those soccer games in Europe. To lose the game, and in basketball games. I mean, again, this opens up the Olympics, which is the worldwide sport, with the money, with the gambling, to entice guys and women, more people to take money to lose, which I just can't conceive. But hey, everything's for gambling, man. So now the Olympics, you can bet on the Olympics. Like who's going to hold the torch, or, how many people come in the stadium. It's crazy. It could be like the Super Bowl, the amount of stuff they can have you gambling on. So that's the next step. Gambling in the Olympics, it'll be summer and winter. The first one is 2016, and I think it's in Rio de Janeiro. I want to end the show with a good friend of the show, the Hammer. The Hebrew Hammer, Cletus Selding, is fighting tonight at the Paramount. Listen, he goes in undefeated, the Hammer. He wins again. He is right in line for a title shot in his division. It's on tonight live, ESPN2 Friday Night Fights, live from the Paramount in Huntington, Long Island. Love it when a local guy, and we know him, and I know him well. Like I said, he's been on the show a few times. Mikey and I, the producer, went there at the weigh-in for his last fight, interviewed him. He's a character, a lot of fun. You know is another knockout coming tonight for the Hammer, and I'm going to go. I'm going to try to be there, so I'll let you know next week, what the Hammer said after I predict another knockout for the Hammer and another W as he continues his undefeated record on his way to a championship fight and winning the champion. That's it. That was quick. Got to go. Want to thank everyone for being involved. Thank everybody for watching. We appreciate it. We'll be back next week. Got to thank Daily Blue for having us. Blue Chip Marketing as well for making us all over we are for everybody who watches. I'm Larry Davis, Sports Biz with LD.